Vivek, first of all, congratulations on your run for governor. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, man. It's great to be on.
So why this now? Why do you want to be Ohio's governor?
Well, look, you look at what's going on at the federal level. President Trump is succeeding, and that means a lot of the programs federally, from education to healthcare, are going to be kicked back down to the states and to the people where they belong. And for my part, look, I don't want Ohio just to be one of the best states in the Midwest. I want Ohio to be the single best state in the country when it comes to growing a family, raising a young family, and starting and growing a new business. I've lived the American dream. I'm a father of two sons, and I want my two sons to be able to live that American dream while staying in this state. And I do think it's going to take a leader with fresh legs from a new generation to help lead us there.
You have a Republican governor now, Mike DeWine. He's term limited. He will not be running again in 2026. I've seen a lot of people call him more of a traditional Republican.
Yeah.
What are you as a Republican, and how different would you be for Ohio?
Well, I think about not only myself as a Republican, I'm a constitutional conservative, but even more importantly, I'm a leader for the entire state, not somebody who's looking to lead just one political party. So we want all Republicans, and we also want independents and libertarians and orphaned Reagan Democrats and other orphaned Democrats and anybody else who finds themselves politically homeless. My message to the state of Ohio is, if you care about economic excellence and educational excellence in this state, then we're on the same team. If you care about more money in your kids' bank accounts, if you care about more education, come into the state to teach your kids how to be able to excel in reading, writing, math, and critical thinking, welcome aboard. We have a place for you in this movement. And that's the way I'm going to look to lead this state, not with a small vision, but an ambitious vision that takes us to our future.
When it comes to education, I've heard you want a merit system for not just teachers, but for a lot of people in the education system.
Yeah, look, I think meritocracy is the way. Meritocracy is the foundation that America was built on. America was built on merit. And I believe that we need merit-based pay for teachers, administrators, principals, and superintendents.
And how would that
I'm going to lead Ohio in that direction. Yeah, I'll tell you how it'll work. We're going to be the first state in the country to do it. On one hand, I want universal school choice at the next level, beyond what Ohio has, like Arizona, like Iowa, allowing every parent to choose where they send their kids to school, including homeschooling as a viable option. That holds our public schools accountable, but I also want our public schools to be able to compete in that environment to be the very best they can be. And to that end, here's what I'm going to say is, every teacher, especially the best teachers, I'll say this about the very best teachers, deserve to be paid more than they are right now. But that means we have to apply meritocracy tied to results. I'm talking about outcomes for students, parental assessments of quality, and also peer reviews, but objective and also peer review and parent-based assessments that make sure the best teachers are the ones being paid more, but we're not wasting money on dead weight or bloat or bureaucracy, where some of that money is sadly going today.
You talk about bureaucracy. You, for a couple of months, were working with Elon Musk as the co-leader of Doge, and you have now left Doge and the Department of Government Efficiency, and you're doing the run for governor. Do you see anything that you would want to do similarly on a state level to cut waste or fraud, which was part of the Doge mission here?
Yeah. So deregulation is a major focus for me. Cut the red tape. And Doge is doing a great job at the federal level of taking a look at those regulations. I'm going to do the same thing when it comes to the regulatory reform in this state. And I'm proud to have President Trump's and Elon's endorsement on the day that I announced the campaign. That was meaningful for me, and it really signals what we already know. The three of us know we're on one team. All of us, in not only the Republican Party, but this broader coalition, are on one team to take our country to the next level. But that's going to require leadership at the level of the states as well.
When you left and you went away from Doge back last month, there were stories that there was a rift potentially between you and Elon Musk. What happened there?
Yeah. Look, I think that those are desperate attempts by opposition to try to create false narratives. The fact of the matter is President Trump and Elon came out within an hour or two of my announcement, and I'm grateful for that on Monday night to endorse in a strong way. And I'm grateful for that because I view us as being part of the same movement. The three of us do. And the reality is this. At the state level, we're going to see a lot of those federal programs come to the states. And that was a realization for me. I think it was a realization for a lot of us to say we then need governors at the state level to do this well. At the federal level, look, there were a lot of different changes. One of the changes was Doge came to reside within the government, rather than the initial plan was for it to be outside the government. And my plan had been to run for governor while serving at some point on that outside body. When it came to reside in the government, that became impossible for a bunch of reasons that are well known. You know, some of them are even legal reasons that would have stopped me from doing it. And so I decided that was the right moment for me to take our vision for the American dream, our vision for entrepreneurship, including through deregulation and regulatory reform, which was my focus and passion area there anyway, to bring that to the state level. And that's what we're going to do to take Ohio to the next level.
I'll let you respond to one of your opponents, Dave Yost, the Attorney General. He's also running for governor as a Republican. He had said you quit on President Trump on day one of him returning to the White House.
I'll say that I'll refer you to President Trump's endorsement on Monday night, and I'll refer Dave to the same place. Dave's a good guy. I've known him. I wish him really well in whatever the next chapter of his making a contribution is to the country. And I know it's a difficult situation to run in a race. I'm polling at 60% and, you know, come out with President Trump's endorsement and Elon's endorsement, another national and statewide endorsement. Every statewide elected official in Ohio who has endorsed me. And I just want Dave to be able to succeed and help the country in a great way. I'm not going to have a negative thing to say about him because I want him to be in a good position to do whatever he thinks is best for his career in the next step. But to the extent that we have a primary this year, you know what? I embrace that because I always believe competition breeds innovation. And I'm going to work with every Ohioan, Dave or anybody else even who runs against me, even Democrats who run against me, to make sure we incorporate their best ideas into how we govern and lead this state. I'm confident they're also going to have ideas worthy of our consideration. And that's the way I want to lead this state.
This is your second run. Your first one, obviously, you ran for president in the 2024 Republican race. What did you learn doing that, your first entrance into politics, that you will take into this second run?
Look, I think one of the things I've learned is that half the battle's showing up. And I mean that literally, but I also mean it metaphorically, to just listen to people and their concerns. You got to lead with your own vision, be uncompromising on your core principles, while also listening to the best ideas, especially from our own citizens along the way, the people you're governing, not just the leadership at the top, but our voters and our citizens. I was proud to achieve what we did during that race. I started with no name ID, with 0.0% in the polls. And over the course of less than a year in that race, a 37-year-old, the youngest person ever to run for U.S. president as a Republican, was able to beat multiple governors and U.S. senators and a former vice president. I then immediately endorsed Donald Trump, who I was able to work with on implementing and even incorporating some of the policy vision that he and I shared in common, to be able to see that now into action, to be able to help him get his early efforts like Doge off the ground before coming here to run as governor with his full endorsement. It's been the most rewarding journey I could have imagined for an entry into politics that's still relatively young. And at the same time, I think that one of my goals in this race is to show up. I can do that physically in this state in a way that I couldn't nationally. And I think that's an advantage. I'm going to visit all 88 counties of this state this year and next year. And frankly, every one of the 8 years that I serve as the governor of this state, because I don't want to govern from a bubble. I want people to show up and hear it directly from me. And one of the lessons is to be able to hear it directly from me without that media filter in between. People are hungry for that truth. And I'm going to do that in this race, not by avoiding media. We're going to talk to media like we are even right now, but to be able to also just go directly to people so they can hear it from me. And I do think that that is going to be how we take our state forward.
We're barely 2 months into 2025. This general election is obviously November of next year. Do you even have a primary date yet?
It's going to be next year. It's a long time from now, but I'm less concerned about the primary in terms of where we sit. You've seen the early polling. You've seen President Trump's endorsement and what that means in the state for a Republican primary. I'm not going to count our chickens, and I welcome anybody else who wants to run in the primary for healthy competition. But I'm looking at winning the general election and how we're able to do that in a landslide that unites this state. And not just to win the general election, but then to govern with an ambitious agenda that brings down the tax rates, that brings down the regulatory burden, that grows economically in the state at rates we haven't seen since the first industrial revolution, to lead this state to be the top state in the country, for kids to get that world-class education starting at a young age, and then have the best universities available to them if that's their path, or a path to vocational education as an electrician or a plumber or a mechanic or a welder, if that's their path to the American dream. A state where the paths to success are plural, where every kid has every path available to him to achieve the maximum of his God-given potential. That's the way I'm going to lead this state, and I'm not going to hold back in doing it.
Well, you have a lot of time to visit all 88 counties throughout Ohio between now and the elections in 2026 as Vivek Ramaswamy starts a bid for governor as a Republican in Ohio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It means a lot. I appreciate it.